Ondo, Nigeria. Located in the southwestern part of the country with a population of about 3.5 million, give or take a few, primarily made up of the Yoruba people. Known for producing their chief product of cocoa and their industry role in creating pottery, cloth weaving, tailoring, and so much more. But something else special about Ondo State, Nigeria is the fact that Ondo is where the roots of my parents, my family, and my ancestors reside. You see, I am first generation American. American born, but Nigerian by blood. Something that I have always held near and dear to my heart is the culture of my people. Learning more about it day by day and sharing it with those around me is something I love to do. And today, we get to hear about the culture straight from the words of royalty. Yes, you heard that right, royalty. Joining me today, we are honored to be graced by the presence of the Queen of Ondo herself, Her Majesty Queen Anike Adesonye. Thank you so much, Your Highness, for joining us today.
You are welcome, darling.
So I want to start by asking you, how does one become queen, and how does that lineage work? And are you able to trace back to the very first queen and king of Ondo?
Actually, you become a queen when you are married to the king, the king or the ruler of the Ondo kingdom. So when you marry a king or the ruler of a town in Yoruba land, we are called the obas. The kings are called obas. And when you are the wife, whether you married before the man becomes the king or after he becomes the king, you automatically becomes his olori, and that is queen of the land. That's how I came to be. I was married to His Royal Majesty Oba Festus Ibidapo Adedisewo Adesonye. Immediately he was crowned. He was installed the king. I became his queen.
Wow.
Queen in Ondo means olori.
So I now want to ask you, being given the title queen isn't something that anyone can just label themselves as. With great power comes great responsibility. During your time as queen, can you please give us a brief description of what it is that you did as Queen of Ondo and your responsibilities?
Of Ondo community then, I was the king consort. I was the only woman there, which was the first time an Ondo Oba or king will have one queen. I was the first Ondo. I was the first only olori at the palace. But by tradition, all the other oloris are also queens. But I was the only one married to him. And that was the first privilege, and that was the first thing the first time a king will have only one queen consort.
Interesting. So the queen is basically a consort for the king. I really find that amazing because sometimes you always need someone to fact check you, and for that to be the queen's job, I think is a great responsibility.
Yeah, some vital decisions are made by him only. I mean, he really wants something to establish. He could consult his high chiefs. Then there is the Oba in council, as it is called in Ondo Kingdom. These are consisting of the high chiefs they are 6 in number, with the Oshima with the king, making 7 of them. They first consult, they first have a meeting, and whatever decision they make will be final, and the king stamps it out, and it becomes the order of the day.
Ondo State in Nigeria as a whole are full of cultural moments that people all over the world want a chance to experience. From our music to our dances to the food to the fashion, everyone lately has had their eyes on Nigeria. Can you talk about the impact of Nigerian culture on the world and some of the distinct cultural practices that occur in Ondo?
Ondo is noted for Alari costume. It's noted for us, and that's our own top fashion. The men will wear it in full flowing agbada, and the women will have it as the wrapper, the headgear, and another the shawl, complete with the native with the same attire. Ondo is mainly noted for alari, and whatever occasions we have, when it's an important occasion, you see all the men and women coming out in their regalia, which is the complete native costume of alari. Is a silk, is a magenta silk woven, some with holes, some without holes, specially woven by Yoruba weavers. Hand woven though. That's on the fashion for you.
I didn't know that so many things were so specific to certain tribes in certain areas in Nigeria. So I definitely want to make sure that we all look more into understanding some of the different cultural practices that occur in different locations. And I really think that's a cool tradition that Ondo does. Many people would assume that being a queen is a full-time job. However, you are a loving mother, a loving wife, a loving sister, and a friend to many. How are you able to balance being a queen and experiencing the everyday joys of life?
Well, because I was so close to my people, they never left me alone. They would come into the palace, celebrate occasions with us, like all festivals, like the notable Oduoba festival. This is where the king is honored, and the chiefs, the high chiefs, the other chiefs, and all friends and relatives of the king would pay homage to him, bringing presents. And during this time, many people would come in to assist me to serve all the visitors coming. And on that very day, there will be dancing around the town in the traditional Oba's drum, while we dance around the town. That day I would also go around dancing with the king. But the second day is all for the princesses and all the members of the royal family, both nuclear and extended, would rally around the king, dance around. And on that day, the second day of the celebration, I would lead all the princes and princesses, both my own and the princes and princesses of the past Obas, would lead them down to the lower part of the palace for annual celebration and paying of homage to the king. That's the special day that I have to lead my children, the other princes and princesses in the both present and past, down to meet the king at the lower axis of the palace. And there, all the people would come, all the chiefs, the women chiefs, the men chiefs, they would come to pay homage to the king. And that particular day is the day the female chiefs will bring gifts to honor the Oshemawe, to celebrate him for the year's festival.
As a queen, you hold a lot of power in decision making. But we know that throughout history, every woman in high positions would sometimes be shut down by men as well. We know, like you mentioned before, you were basically the consort for the king. So did you ever feel like you couldn't speak up or make decisions by yourself?
That scenario never came forth. I enjoyed the support of the king and all the chiefs. They really, really loved the king, and we never had causes for any display of such short staff. They all respected me, and I never even go beyond my own. I don't pass my limitations anyway. And as such, they respected me.
That is so powerful, because honestly, respect doesn't have a gender to it. So I love the fact that you felt like you could speak your mind, say what it is that you wanted to say, and you felt respected while doing so. So I have one last question, because the show is titled, Well, This Is Awkward, because we have all found ourselves in awkward situations at some point. So, is there a time that you can recall, an awkward moment from your childhood while being queen, just everyday life where you might have felt a little awkward or embarrassed, or like a funny moment that you can recall?
I wouldn't say embarrassing, but the first time I was to dress and come out in a traditional, the olden ways of the Oloris or the queens dressing down to meet the king down at the lower axis of the palace. I was to tie my wrapper high up, and I was to expose my chest. That was the first time I think I felt a bit embarrassed. I covered up with corals. I made before then, when I knew that was what was going to happen. I have already made a cape of coral. I have to send all these things to you when I get back to Nigeria, so that you see the photographs to back up all these things, because it's not easily imagined, you know.
Oh, so you thought that maybe the fashion was going to be a little different than what you expected it. But as a queen does, she pivots and adjusts, just like you did. So Queen, I want to thank you so much for joining us today. It was an honor to have you on the show, and I hope those listening were able to just gain a little bit of the culture of Ondo State, Nigeria, and learn more about where I'm from. And I'm honored to be able to have a history lesson from you. So thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you, honey.
Thank you.
God bless.